Louisville, Kentucky at IAEE Expo. And what this podcast is about is that I like to take a deep dive into the people that are behind the industry. So not just work related, we're not talking project, we're talking about the people
Sure.
and how, a little bit about you and your story in the industry. So that being said, my special guest here today is Michael Grant. He is a Senior Vice President of Operations Group with Reed Exhibitions. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Rich. Good to see you again.
I'm so happy you're here because we've worked with each other for a long time, and again, like people don't get to hear about us because we're kind of behind the scenes forever, hence the name Behind the Drapes. So, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the industry.
Sure. And I think unlike degree programs in hospitality and so on too, I'm one of the, I think many of us that are probably on the show floor right now really fell into the industry. I grew up in Connecticut, went to college in Connecticut as well, with a degree in broadcast communications, basically. I was summer interning with Major League Baseball, and we were producing This Week in Baseball. And I thought that's what I wanted to do. And I think over the course of time, found I was somewhat bored by it. I love sports and so on too, but this is the behind the scenes, behind the drape aspect of sports, which is really, it's production work. It's cutting videotape and editing and so on too. That's great, but it's really didn't drive me at all. And I think at the point where I was living at home after college, and my parents are wondering what the hell I'm going to do. I think I'm working in restaurants at the time and locally. And I had a buddy who lived in D.C. and I was given an opportunity by him. He lost a roommate. He said, "Why don't you come down and move down to D.C. and we could use somebody to help us with this rent down here too. Just find some work." And I thought I'd go down for 3-6 months and have a good time in Washington. I ended up through temp work and so on, getting into the association side of the trade and lobbying aspects of Washington D.C., and that was with the NAB, or National Association of Broadcasters.
Sure.
And they were having obviously they have a major event in Las Vegas, and it's April every year. I ended up sort of temping with them for a while. I think at this point it was on sort of the registration housing side.
Yeah.
The show was so popular, I think they felt like we've oversold the hotels that are in Vegas. We're going to need somebody to sort of help manage this with us a little bit, and eventually the people maybe walked, and we're going to have to bring you on site to the show. You're going to be a bit of the concierge and help us sort of navigate this.
Yeah.
I went out and did that. We didn't walk anybody, but I got to see that show firsthand, and it was a monster. This is 1989 was the first year I think I did that. It was on very much this sort of the joining of sort of the internet age and broadcast, production aspects and so on too. Exploded by I ended up getting hired by them. I stayed for 11 years, and I left in 2000, and the show was at its peak at that point, almost 1 million square feet, 100,000 attendees, monster show. And then I'd had an opportunity, and I felt like as much as I love and broadcast show and so on too. At this point, I'm now married. I have 2 kids. And it's sort of, I think it's going to take me a while to sort of, work my way up the ladder here, move my career forward. And I heard about a organizer in the trade show industry named Reed Exhibitions, and it had a former colleague of mine from baseball, happened to be the president at the time. And I reached out to him, and it's it's one town over from where I grew up.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, we don't have anything right now, but maybe let's see if we can maybe cobble something together." And it was on the sort of the advertising fulfillment side, so a bit of an ops role, which I had played for broadcasters for many years. And I eventually just sort of took a leap of faith. I just said, you know what? I think it may be time. I'm going to pull the plug on this, and I did. We packed the kids up and sold the house, and we ended up moving back to Connecticut. It was a dynamic change because you're leaving the association side of our industry, which is it's really at the end of the day they're supporting membership, they're driving money through dues and so on too. they spend a lot of money on the shows. Certainly, broadcasters did to make it look good and so on
Sure.
too. And I trade that for a publicly traded company that's doing 50, 60 events a year.
Yeah.
And it's literally, at some point, they're counting nickels.
Yeah.
We are really into the weeds on a P&L
Sure.
and a cost basis and so on too. Eye-opening, but I think it really furthered my career because of the exposure to a lot of different industries, the hyper focus on margin and making money,
being financially accountable.
Exactly. And I think on my side of the business, operations has a lot of line items that could, certainly support the show, the sales and marketing after the show, but you could make a lot of very critical mistakes that are going to hurt the company bad financially. So you're really kind of very familiar with how to navigate, the P&L, and to do that, you need good partners. You need, partners that are in your side of the business, Rich, which are, certainly the general contractors and everybody that's supporting the event. At the end of the day, the organizer does very little. We sell the show, we market the show. We help put a floor plan together. We don't touch anything really.
Right.
That's you guys.
Right.
You're the ones that sort of help us, sort of make that happen. And I was just sort of captivated by all that. And we had, it really opened my eyes and about a lot of different industry, a lot of new opportunity for me, and I found myself growing through the business. Again, I started in I think it was June of 2020. And here we are in December of 2022, and I'm sort of still here, and I've just made my way sort of through the ranks and learning a little bit of everything, and sort of I think some of it was certainly hard work and the sweat equity aspect, but a lot of it was just luck, being in the right place at the right time, and having some great mentors along the way and learning from them, and I think trying to absorb as much as I can. Show that I was willing to work hard, get the opportunities that I was given along the way too. So that gets us, me through the organization from a manager level to a director to a vice president to the senior vice president, and now we're overseeing, 40 odd shows, and it'll certainly keep you busy. It's like spinning plates at times and hoping nothing hits the ground, but and that's certainly the element that we're in, or the environment we're in a post-COVID world. But I can't imagine doing anything else, even though I fell into the industry. Because the industry at the end of the day is about the people that are in it, and I think being here at Expo is it's a high school reunion for this crowd, and I. You try and make your way through a cocktail party like we did last night, and it's a difficult exercise because we've known these people for decades, and they might have changed roles or jobs and so on too, but they stayed in the industry, and I think that speaks volumes about what we all like about it, and that's the people.
Yeah, I always say that when someone comes into the industry, either they love it or they hate it right away, and they go away quick if they hate it. So
I always seen. I think we felt like we had like about a 1.5 to 2 year window when I bring new people in that maybe hadn't been in the industry before. And you're absolutely right. I think it's a love it or hate it. It's like, that's not for me. I didn't realize, my weekends and nights and this volume of work was going to be sort of part of it.
Right.
Maybe I love the travel at first. I don't love it so much anymore too.
Yeah, for sure. And I was talking earlier with someone about mentors, and having a great mentor early in your career really propels you there. Is there anybody out there that really you can look at as a mentor in the industry that helped you along the way?
Well, I think there's several that I met along the way, and I think that one is that there's folks that were sort of heavily engaged in their brands. I think early on when I first came to Reed, even go back before that too. Certainly at NAB was Chris Brown. There's no doubt about it. He's very passionate about the industry. He's a legend to some degree in this industry. Great guy, great sense of humor. Really, I admire him, and he taught me a lot along the way too. Just a great demeanor, and I think that he was sort of one of the first people that really recognized as a standout, personality, and somebody who really wanted to emulate. I think too. Moving on to Reed. There's people like Tony Kalanka that go way back, and when I first met Tony, he was doing the PGA show, and some of the other brands there. I'd be remiss if I didn't even mention Ken McAvoy. He's lifelong. Absolutely. And and he knows certainly the ins and outs of the operation side of this business, with the levers to pull to sort of accomplish the task. Certainly, on the engagement with people like yourself that are there as well too. Nancy Walsh, who who we don't no longer work together, but they're working for competitors now. But it really speaks to the leadership, and that they've stayed within in that industry as well too. I'm working right now. I'm working for a great guy who hasn't been in the industry quite that long, and Fernando Fisher. He came up from our Brazilian business and really passionate about employee engagement and people, and it really shows. So he's been a tremendous boss, and I find I'm learning from him while he learns from me at the same time. So.
All great legends and leaders that I know of as well. So yeah, definitely. So you working in the event industry, and I talk about leadership and like how do you equate doing what we do and then becoming a better leader? Like what are some of the things that have helped you become a leader and become being a good boss?
I think that it's been some trial and error. I don't think I didn't go to school for sort of that management piece, and there's that classic line that says management's great except for the people. And I think that when I realized how hard it is to do what we do, to bring the circus to town, to set up the tent and then run this event successfully and then tear it down, do it again in another city and year on, rinse and repeat and continue to do that. It really requires really the best of the best, some really good people that are passionate about what they do. But you got to be willing to roll your sleeves up and work hard. And I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by people, regardless of their title, they're willing to do that. They'll get into the trenches when the need is there and it's urgent and so on too. And kind of been able to watch from the sidelines about what people are passionate about, what people are loyal about to the company, and probably conversely, what people have done wrong, and trying to stay away from those challenges as well too. I've continued as I've matriculated through my career to take care of the people that really embodied the same values I have, the work ethic that maybe I have, the team aspect, the family aspect. I think about that too. And we've obviously had to separate with people. Both of us had through our careers. People just haven't worked out. And I find that rarely do I ever have to let go of anybody because they don't know their job. It was really about maybe not being a good fit, or not being the person that we want us representing, maybe not being as collaborative. I think that no a-hole rule sort of in place there to some degree. Those are the people that I've had to unfortunately say, it's maybe this isn't the right environment for you. And in doing so, it allowed us to sort of weed out the bad element and so on too, and distill the people that are really kind of important to what we embody. And I think that is what we do is really hard. And I think I always had a very sort of a strong philosophy around work-life balance, around personal life, and how that is relating to your professional life and so on too. Because when you're, in Vegas for 2 weeks putting a show on, you're away from your kids and so on. That's really difficult. You might have a baby at home. You've got a new bride, whatever those things are. We're asking a lot of you. So when that's not happening, I want you to really sort of, to the degree you can't, disengage, get back to your personal life. The thing's going to drive you. And my philosophy has always been, if you're happy at home, you're going to be happy, I think, with us. And if we're keeping you from that personal side, then I think you're eventually going to find your way out the door on your own. It's going to, and I love the team we have right now, and I want them to certainly trust me, to know that I have their backs. I will go to bat for them as long as they've demonstrated that they passionate about what we do. They're willing to work hard for it, and I think that's absolutely the case. What we do is really difficult. I think that I joined a trade show company that then brought in a consumer element halfway through, and that is much harder than the sort of the day-to-day piece that from New York Comic Con to SuperCon down in Miami with you and PAX Expo, engagement with Hollywood studios like Disney and Lucasfilms. There are those shows are much more demanding, and it really your hours could be 16 and 18-hour days at times. Tough to get somebody to really sign up for that. You really got to love this space. You got to love the sort of your own personal ROI to say that felt really good. I brought these communities together. These people loved it, and I was really proud of the work that I did, and so on. That's where I want them to stay, and I feel that we've really gotten to that place sort of together.
Your team definitely. They always speak highly of you, even when they don't have to. But talk about leadership by example. When we met for the first time on the show floor, you talk about rolling your sleeves up and getting dirty. You were running a vacuum on show opening morning side by side with me. I remember that. So you want to talk about lead by example.
Well, the chips are down at times, and it's sort of like, it's, we might take some liberties with some jurisdiction every once in a while and so on too. But I feel like if you're not willing to do it, there is that disconnect. There's a sort of lack of trust. And I want, I think it's important for me to sort of show my face on as many shows as I can. I want them to know that I'm supporting them, that the work they're doing is really good, and I appreciate it. Occasional attaboy, and I'm really proud of what you did. I really like what you did. Goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what's next? What's something that you're excited about that's coming up? That gets you excited to get out of bed in the morning.
It's a great question. I feel like we've all just been through a meat grinder for the last 2+ years. Yeah. I am sort of very focused on our certainly our recovery. I almost feel like to some degree we're sort of past that. Us over delivering right now. We had some of that in 2022, both on the attendee side and exhibitor side. Is sort of testament to how important this industry is, and people have missed it as much as it maybe has been, limited by budgets and people's, the absence of shows. People are going to figure something else out too. I'm passionate about, our bringing the entrepreneurial guy that's taken his entire life savings and put it into some new product, and using our show as the platform to get discovered to some degree too. And then that takes off. I see that in sort of the hardware space quite a bit. I see it in golf as well, where we are sort of that connector between some Walmart taking a look at that product and saying, hey, we'd love to buy it, and so on too. And believe me, I have nothing to do with that directly, but I feel I'm proud of the fact that I work for a company that allows that sort of the incubation to happen as well too. What drives me, gets me up in the morning. I think some degree it's the people I surround myself with. This industry, I can't say it enough, is just about the people and personalities. People I admire and I love to spend time with, yourself included, both on a professional level and a personal level too. We share so much, not only just as human beings, but people that are also passionate about the work that we do. And it's very similar. Seeing my staff grow and mature and take on more when they never thought they were capable of it. And then they I knew it all along. You just had to demonstrate it to yourself. Yeah. That is, it's just so fulfilling for me to see that happen and see them grow, take the chance and so on too. Obviously I work for a big, publicly traded company, and there's a lot of bureaucracy, and I want people to feel empowered to make their own decision, to make a mistake, and so on too. And I think through doing that, they're going to grow, and they're going to know they're not going to get fired. It's a learning moment, and so on too. So ideally, the mistake is not
detrimental.
Exactly. But I think that I think trying to take chances, and I don't think I did enough of it myself when I was younger, very risk adverse and so on too. But here I am trying to encourage my own people to do it.
Yeah. That's great. Well, this has been amazing. And when people want to learn more about Reed and you, how can they find you? LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, absolutely. You'll easily find me on LinkedIn. There's many Michael Grants on there too, but I'm the one with the white hair and the with a background that's in this industry as well too.
And Reed, what's the
The website will be rxglobal.com.
okay.
And you can search. We are obviously a global company that has dozens of offices around the world. We're running north of 400 events worldwide right now. And I think that's another thing I got to say I'm really proud of is the fact that we have a company that allows us to clone and take events into different regions and countries and so on too. If it works in China, maybe it works in the United States. If it works in the UK, maybe it could work somewhere else as well too. And it's given me the opportunity, obviously, to travel the world, but meet colleagues from all over. It's really been a thrill to be part of this journey that is this career.
Yeah.
I look back on it, and it's going way too fast right now. But it's been just really an honor to be part of it, to participate in, maybe contribute in some way. It's been great.
Well, thank you for being here. Much appreciated. And let's wrap it up.
Thank you.